pending brawl. With lightning speed, Kyle lunges at them. He connects a powerful blow to Ronnie's face, leaving him momentarily disoriented. He delivers a swift kick to Kim Kaioshinga's face. He executes these maneuvers with astonishing velocity, astounding even the seasoned Seth Kong. Before the gates of Yanjin School, a patrol car arrives, halting abruptly in front of the institution. An officer emerges to evaluate the circumstances. He observes nothing amiss and proposes notifying the precinct that all is well. He suggests a respite. However, his companion detects something peculiar. "What is it?" he inquires, bewildered. His colleague presses. "What's happening?" Suddenly, he spots a bald thug sprawled near the barrier. The sight startles him, beads of sweat forming. He scans the surroundings. Quickly, he discovers numerous men incapacitated on the ground. He's stunned, while his partner repeats his inquiry. "What's going on?" Seizing the police radio, he announces their location, Yanjin High School. But his report is interrupted by a sudden sound. Glancing over his shoulder, he spots something peculiar. A jet-black aircraft has just touched down on the scene. The rear hatch swings open, and 3 figures emerge, with a man in the center, commanding the Amiens division of the Sunshine Syndicate. His moniker is David Lee, also recognized as White. Swiftly, a fleet of vans descends upon the location. Numerous individuals disembark from the vehicles, advancing towards the law enforcement officers. The 2 officers grow increasingly apprehensive. The man inquires if they were the first to arrive. Stammering, the officer questions his identity. White remains silent, fixing him with an intense gaze. But more automobiles appear, seemingly as reinforcements. A man exits one of the cars and strides forward. This is the head of the Sundin faction, also affiliated with the Sunshine Syndicate. He is known as Jonas Young-jin. He remarks on White's prior arrival. Grinning, he reveals his gleaming gold teeth. White remarks, "It's been years since the boss summoned us." Jonas straightens his tie, a murderous glint in his eyes. He scowls at the officers, remaining silent. A voice crackles over the police radio. "What's the situation? Do we need reinforcements?" It's overwhelming for just a handful of officers. White consults his partner. "Should we engage first?" "We should notify the boss first," his partner advises. "Practically everyone's already converged at the scene," one observes. The Sunshine Group, a motley crew, braces for combat. White relays the situation to the boss over the phone. Most of the squad is already present. "Can we proceed?" The boss, Uncle Jake, commands standby. "I'm en route." Uncle Jake is airborne, a helicopter hurtling him towards the school. Meanwhile, back at the brawl, the driver and Kim are enduring a brutal assault. Japan's premier fighter advances, his gaze locking onto Seth's. In the background, Seth's underlings muttered, branding the newcomer a bastard. The fighter glanced back, acknowledging their insults. Annoyed, they challenged him, demanding to know who he thought he was. However, their leader's booming voice cut through the air, silencing them. Startled by Seth's bellow, they immediately fell silent. Smiling slyly, Seth ordered them not to intervene. He would handle this challenger personally. The partially bald man braced himself for combat. Eager for action, the newcomer taunted Seth, urging him to attack swiftly. With blinding speed, the fighter's hand darted towards Seth, nearly catching him off guard. But Seth narrowly evaded the blow. The attack merely grazed his cheek, leaving a superficial wound, but revealing the fighter's astonishing velocity. Seth's expression hardened as he adjusted his stance, anticipating the next onslaught. The fighter launched another assault. Despite a flurry of blows, Seth deftly dodged each one. The fighter persisted relentlessly. Meanwhile, Seth continued to evade the attacks, but with increasing difficulty. Astonished, Victor remarked on the man's incredible speed. He contemplates how Seth evades the relentless barrage of attacks. Rock observes the brawl in silence. Kim and Rodney, though battered, remain unfazed, their confidence in their leader unwavering. Inside the classroom, students are captivated by the unfolding spectacle. The instructor commands them to cease their gawking and return to their studies. One pupil is surreptitiously documenting the entire event, while another announces the arrival of law enforcement. Exasperated, the teacher inwardly laments the unruly nature of these delinquents. Abruptly, Sophie approaches the instructor, requesting permission to join the gathering outside. Her concern for Seth's well-being evident. Bewildered, the teacher consents. Amidst the fray, Seth finally seizes his adversary's wrist, poised to unleash a retaliatory strike. His hand darts towards the combatant's face. Astonishingly, the fighter executes a Matrix-esque maneuver, as if mimicking the legendary cinematic moment. Both combatants momentarily retreat. Seth grazes his cheek, stunned by the near miss. He exclaims, "This is going to be a blast!" The two lock eyes, bracing themselves for another clash. Suddenly, Seth lunges toward his adversary. A grin spreads across his face, exhilaration evident. He taunts, "Come and get me." They rapidly close the distance between them. Both fighters cock their fists, poised to strike. With impressive agility, both Seth and his opponent evade each other's blows. A flicker of anxiety crosses Seth's face as he spots his foe's wrist darting forward. In a fleeting moment of inattention, the fighter attempts a swift kick. Seth ducks, nimbly sidestepping the attack. Seth winds up for a left jab, but the half-balled fighter deftly parries it. He then aims a brutal knee strike at Seth's stomach. Reacting with lightning speed, Seth intercepts the knee. The force of the impact sends Seth reeling backward. A smug grin touches the fighter's lips, confidence rising. Seth returns the smile with undiminished enthusiasm, retorting, "Now it's on." This declaration leaves the half-bald man perplexed. Abruptly, a sound from the heavens caught everyone's attention. Uncle Jake's chopper materialized, touching down directly before the school entrance. Every eye was captivated, including the mobsters, who instantly recognized the incoming presence. A figure descended from the aircraft, revealed to be Uncle Jake, arriving as reinforcement. Movement rippled through the crowd as the vicinity swarmed with Sunshine Group operatives. A bewildered Victor inquired about the unfolding events. Uncle Jake advanced, parting the throng, and offered a respectful bow to Seth, acknowledging him as Sir. Immediately, all present mirrored the gesture, bowing deeply. Inside the classroom, bewilderment filled the students. They questioned the spectacle and the universal bow. The two constables stationed outside were equally perplexed by the unfolding drama. Perched atop a nearby edifice, a cluster of Chinese triad members observed. One, adorned with a ponytail, inquired of his comrade if Seth was the one who had vanquished him. His brother affirms the statement. The man then inquires if he believes victory is possible in a rematch. His brother remains taciturn, glancing towards their other companion. The man with the ponytail remarks that the situation has become more intricate. He questions their next course of action. The man wearing sunglasses replies, observing the excessive presence of Korean law enforcement. He proposes a strategic withdrawal for the day. With a grin, he expresses his desire to observe the unfolding events, finding the situation captivating. A voice abruptly interjects, questioning the veracity of his amusement. Instantly, the three men swivel to identify the speaker. To their astonishment, it's Saz's mother amidst them. The man is dumbstruck, realizing he was completely oblivious to her presence. Exuding a menacing aura, Saz's mother fixes a chilling gaze upon the mafia leader. After reinforcements arrive, Kong commands them to refrain from intervening. Uncle Jake begins to object, but Seth adamantly declares he must win this fight honorably. Jake falls silent upon hearing his nephew's reply. Two men observe the protagonist via the surveillance cameras. They remark that everyone has stumbled into the trap like rodents. Exasperated, one of them inquires of his underling if he believes Seth will be defeated. Jake retorts that this is not the sort of predicament they are confronting, imploring him to observe their surroundings. Numerous adversaries already lie vanquished across the schoolyard, and many more are incapacitated near the buses. Witnessing this carnage, Kong remains taciturn. His subordinate approaches his superior, respectfully requesting to handle the remaining situation and to prevent further escalation of the conflict. He informs Seth that this battle is his and his alone, inquiring if he comprehends the gravity of the situation. Upon hearing this, Seth remains silent, observing intently. Confronting the mafiosos, Seth offers his apologies for the delay. He requests they recommence their confrontation where it left off. The half-ball fighter remains silent, his gaze drifting backward as he registers the influx of newcomers. Exuberant, the mafia boss commands him to eliminate the boy. Complying with the directive, the fighter lunges towards Seth. Seth clenches his fists, bracing for a swift confrontation. The fighter rapidly advances upon Kong. Abruptly, a voice booms, demanding cessation of hostilities. Both the protagonist and his adversary halt, paralyzed by the bellow. Every individual present is stunned by the vocalization. It's Seth's mother who has materialized, disrupting the confrontation. Her presence renders everyone speechless. The very instant she appears, The mafia leader is silenced. Wordlessly, she fixes her gaze upon a security camera. Then, she redirects her attention to her son's underling. She instructs him to attend to any injured individuals. Jake, perplexed by her decree, inquires about her intentions. She concludes by directing him to escort the remaining individuals from the school. Jake attempts to remonstrate, questioning the meaning of her edict. Exasperated, she exhales with a lethal air. She demands to know when he began defying her directives. Witnessing this, Jake trembles uncontrollably. Visibly apprehensive, 3 men approach the woman. One of them, Ion, is her underling. She commands him to attend to anyone injured in the brawl. Ion swiftly complies with her order. Continuing, she instructs the others to vacate the school and detain the police for 5 minutes. Everyone obeys her commands and mobilizes. In that instant, Seth recognizes his mother observing him. The woman grants him permission to fight. However, there's something she must impart. Listening intently, the protagonist gives her his undivided attention. His mother informs him that his role isn't something that concludes with him alone. She clarifies that being a leader entails shouldering the responsibility of every conflict, and therefore, he cannot engage in combat solely driven by his emotions. Upon hearing this, Seth is utterly stunned. Complying with the woman's directive, everyone commenced vacating the premises. As the partially bald combatant strolled past her, she affirmed that Jacker had inflicted no harm upon her offspring, and, for the present, she would grant him reprieve. Petrified, the man failed to grasp her intent. Abruptly, the syndicate leader and his cohorts materialized, inquisitively demanding her identity. He roared, proclaiming his refusal to permit some arbitrary individual to meddle in their affairs. He hurled insults, fully cognizant of the man's appellation. She proffered him 2 alternatives. The initial choice was to assemble his entire entourage, board the vehicle, and depart without a sound. Upon hearing the first proposition, he instantly erupted in a torrent of profanity. Unhesitatingly, she lacerated a portion of his neck, while simultaneously delivering devastating knee strikes to his accomplices. Witnessing this spectacle, the man was utterly aghast. The woman cautioned that any further interruption would result in his demise. She inquired if he comprehended. Everyone was rendered speechless and petrified by her pronouncements. The mob boss is visibly vexed yet remains silent. Clearly apprehensive after this display, she proceeds to outline the second alternative, which involves a brawl between the half-conscious combatant and Seth. Upon hearing this, Seth is startled, trembling visibly. The crime lord is bewildered by her suggestion. She elaborates, declaring the victor will claim their desired prize, or rather, whatever those observing through the lenses desire. Casting a pointed glance at the surveillance cameras, the mafia leader, realizing she's detected their presence, becomes uneasy. He asserts they have nothing to forfeit in this gamble. With a reassuring smile, the woman urges him not to fret. As she departs, she emphatically states she invariably honors her commitments. Seth, still perplexed by his mother's audacious proposition, remembers her ultimatum: relinquish his standing if he falters in victory. This burden weighs heavily upon his conscience. With a grave countenance, he contemplates the extent of his father's disappointment. Should the heir of the Sunshine Group succumb to such an adversary? Upon hearing this, the young protagonist grins wickedly, proclaiming his unwavering resolve to triumph. Within the school, Sophie and her instructor are descending the staircase. Abruptly, they perceive something